Welcome to Pathophysiology class. Myself, Dr. S.K. Nimbal, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmacology from KLE College of Pharmacy, Hubballi, a constituent unit of KLE Academy of Higher Education and Research, deemed to be University, Belagavi. Students, today we will study the pathogenesis of cell injury. So before studying pathogenesis, we should know what is cell injury. Cell injury is defined as the effect of a variety of stresses due to etiologic agents a cell encounters, resulting in its internal as well as external environment. And in general, our body have an inbuilt mechanism to deal with the changes in environment to some extent. And the cellular response to stress may vary and depends upon following two factors. One is host factors, that is the type of cell and tissue involved. Second one is factors pertaining to the injurious agent, that is extent and type of cell injury. Now comes to the etiology of cell injury. There are two broad categories. One is genetic causes. Second one is acquired causes. Under the genetic causes, there are developmental defects, cytogenetic defects, single gene defects, and multifactorial inheritance disorders. Under the acquired causes, first most important is hypoxia and ischemia. So in most of the condition, the cell injury is caused by hypoxia and ischemia. Second one is physical agents. Examples like heat, cold, radiation. Chemical agents and drugs like strong acids and alkalis. Microbial agents like bacteria, virus, fungi. Immunologic agents like autoimmune disorders and hypersensitivity reactions. Nutritional dearrangements includes both deficiency of nutrition and nutrition excess. Aging as well as psychogenic diseases, that is iatrogenic factors, that is physician induced cell injury, and idiopathic, that is unknown reasons or unknown causes, that is idiopathic diseases. Coming to the pathogenesis, the pathogenesis of cell injury depends on type, duration and severity of injurious agent, type, status and adaptability of the target cell, and third one is underlying intracellular phenomena. I told most of the condition the cell injury is due to hypoxia and ischemia. So today we will study the pathogenesis of hypoxia and ischemic cell injury. This hypoxia and ischemia, it may be reversible. If the stress is removed, the cell reverts back to its normal function. That is called reversible. And it is irreversible when after removing the stress, the cell will not comes back to the normal condition. That is called irreversible cell injury. If the hypoxia or ischemia is of short duration, then it results into reversible cell injury. Means after removing the stress, the cell reverts back to normal condition. Now, the pathogenesis of reversible hypoxia or ischemia includes decreased generation of cellular ATP, reduced intracellular pH, damage to the plasma membrane pump, reduced protein synthesis, functional consequences, and ultrastructural changes. So here, when general, we can say that in hypoxia and ischemia, first there is a decrease in the ATP or ATP generation. When there is a decrease in the ATP generation, this leads to decrease in the intracellular pH, damaged sodium as well as calcium pump, and decreased protein synthesis. And all these results into ultrastructural or functional changes. So that is nothing but reversible cell injury. So first one is decreased generation of cellular ATP. Already we know that ATP is required for a variety of cellular functions, and we get ATP by two sources. One is oxidative phosphorylation, which requires oxygen and occurs in mitochondria. Second one is anaerobic glycolytic pathway, where glucose where the ATP is generated from glucose or glycogen in absence of oxygen. But in ischemia and hypoxia, both limit the supply of oxygen to the cells, so this causes decrease in the ATP generation. But when you compare with ischemia, cell injury is less severe in hypoxia, because in hypoxia there is a switch to the anaerobic glycolytic pathway, so that the injury is less compared to the ischemia. But highly specialized cells like myocardium, kidney and neurons of the CNS dependent on aerobic respiration for ATP generation. So these cells suffer more from ill effects of the ischemia. Now second one is reduced intracellular pH. Due to low oxygen supply, aerobic respiration fails first. This is followed by switch to anaerobic glycolytic pathway for the production of or for the synthesis of ATP. This results in rapid depletion of glycogen and accumulation of lactic acid, so which lowers the intracellular pH, or it is also called intracellular lactic acidosis. Now, damage to the sodium pump. As a result of continued hypoxia, there is a one membrane endoplasmic reticulum lack of ATP interferes in a generation of phospholipids, which are required for continuous repairs of the membranes. First, there is a failure of a sodium potassium pump. So this sodium potassium ATPase, it is a ATP dependent sodium pump, which allows active transport of sodium out of the cell and diffusion of potassium into the cell. Now lowered ATP lowers the activity of this pump and results in intracellular accumulation of sodium and diffusion of potassium out of the cell. Now accumulation of sodium leads to increased intracellular water, that is nothing but hydropic swelling. Now membrane damage causes disturbance in calcium ion exchange, particularly in the membrane, because of membrane damage. Now excess calcium moves into the cell, particularly mitochondria, and this produces cell swelling as well as deposition of phospholipid rich amorphous densities. As a result of continued hypoxia, membranes of endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus swollen. Now ribosomes are detached from rough endoplasmic reticulum and polysomes are degraded to monosomes, thus dispersing the ribosomes in the cytoplasm and produces reduction in the protein synthesis. Now, functional consequences. Reversible cell injury leads to functional disturbances. Example, myocardial contractility seizures within 16 seconds after coronary occlusion. Now, ultrastructural changes in reversible cell injury. First organelle is that is mitochondria. This is a normal mitochondria, but when there is a reversible cell injury, there is a swelling as well as small amorphous densities seen on the surface of the mitochondria. Second organelle is membranes. So during a reversible cell injury, there is a formation of blebs, Malin figure, and cell swelling. This is a reticular endoplasmic reticulum and ribosomes. So during the reversible cell injury, so these reticular endoplasmic reticulum is swelling as well as there is a dispersed ribosomes that is detached from the endoplasmic reticulum. Now lysosomes, so in lysosomes there is a formation of autophagy in a reversible cell injury. Cytoskeleton, now cytoskeleton get aggregated during the reversible cell injury. And in a nucleus there is a clumping of chromatin which can be seen in the reversible cell injury. So these all are the ultrastructural changes particularly occurs in a reversible cell injury. So these are the some references. Thank you one and all.